Hey guys, what's up? So I've gotten a lot of requests to do another ROTC video. I already did one. I'll link it here or here, wherever it shows up. But I'm going to do another one right now that's a little more in-depth. So in this one, I'm going to be going over kind of the ROTC requirements, breakdown of the program year by year, go over Accessions real quick, give you my personal experience in ROTC, and then go over some questions that I've gotten in past videos. Okay, so ROTC requirements, these can change a little from school to school, but overall it's pretty much the same over every school. So you're gonna have PT 3 times a week. For us it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I know some schools have Monday, Wednesday, Thursday at 6 a.m. and that's just for an hour and 15. You're also gonna have a 75-minute military science class. For MS1s and 2s, aka freshmen and sophomores, it's only once a week, and for juniors and seniors it's twice a week. You have a 2-hour leadership lab once a week and a 2-hour training meeting, but that's only for some juniors and most seniors. So during your MS1 year, aka your freshman year, you're not really responsible for much. You're pretty much only responsible for yourself, showing up in the right place at the right time in the right uniform, and that's pretty much it. My guess is, prep work, like stuff you have to do outside of the required stuff, probably only about an hour or 2 a week. As an MS2, aka sophomore, obviously you have to do everything the MS1 has to do, which is not much, but you'll also probably be in charge of a team or squad, so 3 to 9 people. And because you're in charge of others, that means there's more prep work. You gotta really make sure everyone you're in charge of knows where to be, at what time, what stuff to bring, because if you don't, it's gonna look bad on you, and you're gonna make your platoon look bad, and you don't want that. So I'd say, it's more work, but not that much. Freshman and sophomore year are pretty comparable, so you probably have 1 to 3 hours of extra stuff outside of the required stuff per week. So as an MS3, things really ratchet up. You gotta do everything MS2 has to do, plus you're in charge of either a squad or a platoon, so probably somewhere between 7 and 30 people. You're gonna often need to do a good amount of prep for training activities. Sometimes you'll be in charge of, the MS4s will plan something, but then they'll put an MS3 in charge of a certain thing, like, alright, we're gonna do react to contact, which is a battle drill or whatever. I want this MS3 to teach this part of it, something like that. So it's going to take significantly more prep, and you have a lot more responsibility than you are used to. And along with that, you have that extra class a week, which you don't usually have, and you might have to go to training meetings and stuff like that. So outside of that required stuff, it's probably an extra 2 to 5 hours per week. As an MS4, it really depends on your job. So the way it works is MS4s are usually like the officers of the battalion, the ROTC battalion. So you can be a battalion commander, company commander. There's a lot of jobs, and it really depends on what your job is. The higher ranked people usually get the tougher, more meaningful jobs, and the lower ranked people typically don't. So your job will really control how much extra time you're spending. If you have an easy job, probably won't have to do that much extra. If you have a tougher job, you're gonna be busy. So I'd say outside of the required stuff, it's probably 2 to 7 hours per week of extra stuff. So you gotta note that this is all based off of just doing the required stuff plus basically required stuff for your job. There's always going to be extra stuff you can do outside of that, like Ranger Challenge Team or Color Guard or volunteering for details or like planning stuff that your battalion doesn't usually do, but like getting them to do extra activities, kind of stuff. So it really depends on you. How much you put in will be how much you get out. I know everyone says that, but it's really true. If you put a lot in, you'll learn a lot, and people will see that you're putting in effort and everything. And if you're just skating by, people will see that. People will definitely see that. So to be like a top person in your class, maybe top 25%-ish, you're gonna need to put in a significant amount of extra time. I don't think there's anyone in the top 25% of my class that wasn't either on Ranger Challenge or did Color Guard for a while or did something extra. So if you're wondering how the Army decides if you get a scholarship, how they decide what branch you get, and if you get active duty or not, it's through Accessions. So they change Accessions kind of every year, so I don't know specifically what it is now, but when I went through Accessions, well over half of it was based on just GPA and your PT score. So, I mean, if you're putting in the time to get good grades, which you should probably be doing even if you're not in ROTC, and you know, you're working out on the side, you'll be fine. You can easily be doing pretty well in your class. But also, you gotta keep in mind that you can't be one of those people who are just doing GPA and PT score and like putting in minimum effort at stuff. Like, if you're at a leadership lab and they see that you're like really don't want to be there, really trying to just leave as soon as possible or skip, or if you're like not coming to PT and stuff, that's definitely, you can have a good PT score, good GPA. I mean, you'll still be in like the top half of the class, but part of Accessions was also, they ranked us a lot on the OML, which would be order of merit list, which would be a PT score, GPA, and other stuff. But also they put in their input of who they thought was the best in the class, second best, third, fourth, etc. So my guess is, as a MS1 freshman at any school, even if you're not a STEM major, which is like engineering, computer science, stuff like that, if you have like a 3.5 and a 270 PT score as a freshman, you'll be in the top 10 to 25% of your class. Alright, so I'm gonna give you my personal experience in ROTC. I did ROTC all 4 years, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and yeah. So my freshman year of ROTC actually started off on a really bad foot. I got really sick in the beginning of freshman year. I got a really bad case of mono. I almost had to leave school for a semester, and one thing you kind of learn is the military, or at least ROTC, didn't really know how to deal with like illnesses. So I came back from mono, but I wasn't able to really work out for a long time because my spleen or whatever, and they just thought I was being lazy, but it was a very legitimate thing. So it really put me off on a bad foot in that respect. That being said, once I got healthy again and really got into ROTC, you know, I had to fight off that stigma that I was kind of a shithead or whatever. But you know, I was able to go out 2 or 3 nights a week. I had a good social life. I did well in school. I ended up freshman year with like a 3.6 GPA and a 270 PT score, while also, you know, hanging out with my friends a lot, staying up late, going out, doing all that kind of stuff. So sophomore year, I joined my school's student government, and I got ROTC involved in things they weren't usually involved with. For my school, we had a 9/11 vigil every semester, and you know, one meeting, student government was talking about how they're gonna have this vigil, and I was like, why don't we get ROTC involved somehow? And they loved the idea, and then I told ROTC and they loved the idea, and it was just a natural fit that no one had just really thought of doing before. And that really made me stand out. Like, as a freshman, they didn't really like me because I started off the wrong foot with the whole mono thing, but then after they saw that, I was in a good standing a lot more. I stood out and did something that they hadn't really seen people do. As you'll learn, the military is not really great at thinking outside of the box. So whenever you do something like that, they typically like it. So even with a higher workload from ROTC sophomore year, I'm still able to go out 2, sometimes 3 times a week. I have a good social life, you know, play in murals and hang out with people and stuff like that, and I was still able to get a high GPA. Junior year, things ratcheted up a lot, but it's still manageable. I still went out once or twice a week, had a good social life, everything, good GPA. But yeah, things definitely were significantly different than I was used to. And senior year, things ratcheted up even more for me, but I was still able to go out once or twice a week, be social, have a good GPA and everything. Really, as you go through ROTC more, yeah, you get more work, but you learn how the program works and really what's important and what's less important. A big thing is you need to figure out how to be efficient. What do you need to spend a lot of time on, and what is just a check in the box? What is something that they're not going to look into, just see that you did, and what's something that they're really going to look at in depth and, you know, critique you on. Alright, now I'm going to go through some questions I've been getting on my videos in the past month or so and see if I can answer them. So the first one is, what was the hardest part of ROTC for you? For me, I'd have to say it was probably, I don't know, something that frustrated me a lot was the military doesn't always understand college life versus military life, because the military life and college life are very, very different. Military life is very structured, you know, you're gonna do this and this and this, you're gonna be up at this time and blah blah. College's life is like, you need to get this, this, and this done, but how you do it is on you. So my first professor of military science, or PMS, was a guy from West Point. He was a great public speaker and everything, a good leader, but he did not understand how college worked and like the college lifestyle and everything. So he would have us do some stuff that was just really frustrating, and it became hard to do ROTC and school. Like, for example, we had our leadership lab on I think it was a Tuesday or something, in the middle of 2 class blocks, so I couldn't schedule any classes in this 4-hour window because our leadership lab, just the way it lined up, and it was hard to get classes, and it was just really frustrating. But then my junior year, we got a new professor of military science, and he was from ROTC, and he got it. Like, he totally understood. He moved that to a time when people really didn't have class anyway, and made things a lot less frustrating. All right, next question is, how about the best part of ROTC for you? The best part of ROTC was definitely being with, you know, the other ROTC guys and girls. We didn't have many girls in my program, at least in my class, but the other ROTC guys, because you all kind of like a common goal and something that unites you guys versus other people in college. It's just different. But I was lucky. My class was really squared away, and we actually came from similar backgrounds and just meshed. We realized that, you know, what you'll see a lot in ROTC is people kind of make it their life. Like, they do ROTC, they only hang out with ROTC people, and all they talk about is ROTC. My class is totally not like that. We had a great ROTC and, you know, normal college balance. We didn't just room with each other and hang out with each other, but we always had each other's backs and everything, and that was probably my favorite part of ROTC. Next one is, dude, women love a man in uniform. Did you ever get tang? Women do love a man in uniform. I'm not gonna lie about that. But you gotta remember, keep it in perspective. You're an ROTC, you're a cadet, you haven't done anything. You should not be walking around in uniform thinking you're the man. You really don't know anything, you haven't done anything. Don't be taking advantage of it. That being said, you are doing something great in that you're committing yourself to something bigger than you, something that 99% of the population won't commit to. So be proud of that, but don't just be using it, you know, to get girls. Girls are gonna notice that you're in uniform. It'll do the work for you. Just be humble. Don't be a dick about it. And realize you're just a cadet. You have a long way to go. Next one is, I'm going for international relations with a Middle Eastern focus and psych minor, probably. I want to commission as an MI officer. What are the chances that the Army puts me where they want me rather than puts me where I want to go? Okay, well, it sounds like your major is good for MI, but it won't really help you that much get MI. There are very few majors that have a direct correlation and link to getting a certain branch. Like, being an engineering major will help you become an engineer. Being in the engineer branch, or being a computer science major, will help you get cyber branch. That being said, being international relations with Middle Eastern focus isn't gonna directly help you become MI. To get MI, they're gonna go right off of the OML, the Order of Merit List, Accessions, all that stuff. So if you really want MI, just straight up MI, you're gonna have to get a high GPA, high PT score, do some extra stuff, because MI is one a lot of people want. That being said, you can get MI and do a branch detail. Now that's still hard to do. You still have to be high in the OML for that, but it's way more likely that you'll get MI with a branch detail than get straight up MI. And you might put straight up MI and they might select you for it, but they'll give you a detail anyway. So if you really, really, really just want MI, you don't want to do anything else in the Army, I would probably recommend going National Guard, because they don't go off the Order of Merit List, they don't go off the OML. What they're gonna do is, you're gonna be, you know, go through sessions and stuff, and then you find a unit and you call them and you tell them why you'd be a good fit, and I think you send them like a letter or something, and from my experience, 90% of the time they'll take you. So if all you want to do is MI, which trust me, as a second lieutenant, MI, you're not doing that. Like, you're getting coffee, you're making PowerPoints. They don't need many 22, 23-year-old military intelligence people they've only been cadets. Like, what do you know about military intelligence? But if that's really what you want, then I would suggest going National Guard. Anyway, that's all I've got. Those are all the questions I've got. That's everything I've got to say. I really hope it was helpful. And if you have any more questions, definitely comment below. I'll answer them for you. And yeah, but if you enjoyed this video, please share with your friends. And leave a like and subscribe to join me on this journey. If you didn't already know, I'm a recently commissioned second lieutenant. I commissioned back in May, going through field artillery at Bullock right now. And after this, I'm going to be going to my first duty station, leading troops and blowing stuff up, hopefully. So I think it's going to be cool. That's why I'm recording my experiences. And yeah, so that's all I've got for today, guys. So until next time, keep killing it.